dive a little bit deeper into challenge 5. And then we are going to go back and refactor our code from not the challenge 4 code, but if you look at challenge 4, there's a bonus section at the bottom, is refactor your driver. And we're going to go over how to refactor it and build your own functions and methods and give you a simpler layout and feel to your structure so that it would look cleaner. So if you look at my challenge 6 now, my challenge 6 is one file, and that will work. So if you look at challenge 6 right here on the board, it'll say challenge 6. I just have a git ignore, so I can comment on any files that I want to commit in there. But challenge 6, I don't have the node, I don't have anything else. I don't have these dependency libraries anymore. Okay, so we're going to go over how I did that. And that way, in the future, when you write your challenge 7, it's one file, and it will still work. But also at the same time, with the refactor of challenge 5, I moved to a common folder with my driver, and I also created a class for the screenshot. I'll give you guys the code for the screenshot, because really all I did was that tutorial that's available in the document, which is the document right here. How to handle error handling and screenshots right here. If you want to look at, I think it's either this one or the one above. Really, there's not much to the screenshot code. Very self-explanatory, and we'll just copy and paste. Yeah, this is the one right here. Just copy and paste this code. It's not anything fancy. That's just the way you take screenshots. You can take a screenshot. So, but the key is, how do you take a screenshot as a function? So you're not copying this code into every single file that you're running. And then if you want to add other features to the screenshot in the future, you can refactor the screenshot code and it applies to everybody's code. You do some overrides too. And some of the overrides I'll show you is how do you get both. We'll look at this driver class right here. Right here in this driver class, we'll dive a little bit deeper into this, but in this driver class, I added some more options to it. So now I can kick off my test in Firefox, Chrome, Edge, or Internet Explorer, and on a remote box, and on a mobile device.
Quick thing, can you put the Zoom link inside of the Autobots channel?
Oh, yeah.
Please.
Sorry about that.
You need to throw off your groove. Emperor's groove.
Oh, that's right. We have to always use them. What's up?
Hey.
I made it.
Yeah.
No, that's not the one.
She's just lazy.
Yeah.
I mean, get Vern, because Vern's being really
Sassy
today.
Sassy Vern showed up.
It's okay. We don't mind sassy Vern. We're alive to sassy
Very
Vern.
tangible too.
So we got a lot to cover, but hopefully I can show you guys what I did with how to build this. And then you guys can dive a little bit deeper. And I'm not going to give you the full solution for this driver right now, but I want you guys to mull it over and try to figure it out. I'll show you the working example. I won't be able to do the remote piece. I'll show you the code because we have a whole entire Sling grid back in our office that has 6 machines attached to it, so we can run 30 threads at the same time. So that way I don't have to run it locally on my box. I can just kick it off and run it there. It's just a simple one-liner, but the key is, how do you build your driver class so you can add all these different options to it, and then have it build one driver. Otherwise, if you screw up, you're going to be. For a while there, I screwed up. I had to try to figure out, why am I opening 3 browsers at the same time? It's because I had the .build command on 3 different lines. We'll get to that.
Just a quick question about this class. So the idea is to constructed in such a way that it accommodates many different ways of running code remotely or on your box or whatever.
Yes.
But it also understands which pieces of its class to run in a particular test. Is that making sense? So it's not trying to run remote and local at the same time?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll handle it. So let's start. Let's answer a couple questions for challenge 5. So one of the questions that we had is how do you do a drop down? Really, this is it's very dirty code. It's not a clean code. I don't like it, but this does work for our code challenge. Basically, I'm looking for the select drop down. There's a div with an ID in it. You cannot use a div with an ID in it because that div is just a wrapper for the select. When you do a click on it, it doesn't do a click on the drop down. It does a click on the div. Let's take a look at the page that we're looking at.
Exotic.
Exotic?
Yep.
I think this will give us enough results here, hopefully.
Oh, it does. 393.
Okay, so we're looking at this guy right here. This drop down. Notice I'm looking at this select. If you are using an ID, which Angel was using this one, clicking on a div does nothing for you. So that's why it wasn't working for her. But once you do click on,
Look for the select.
look for the select.
Okay.
That will solve your problem. And remember with a select, if you're a user, you can click on the select, type in whatever you want to in text, and you can hit enter, and it will run the search. Remember your virtual keyboard of sending enter key is not the same as physically enter. That's why we have this element.click. All I'm doing is just clicking out of that element. And that action right there will have it repaint the whole target.
Okay. ELE.click. That's entered.
Yeah, so all I did was find the variable element. The element, once I get an element ID, attach it with the driver.find, then I'll do element.click, element.send keys, element.send key enter, and then element.click again so that it recognizes the action.
Why don't you need to wait on line 51 and 52?
I'm not sure. I tried it. It works exactly the same, so I just left it at this. I did before. I had this, and I had this, and it worked exactly the same. So I was just playing around with them, like, what's the difference between these? Because they all
JavaScript.
yeah. There's a lot of crazy stuff in JavaScript. I'll even show you tonight some of the crazy stuff in JavaScript, like a blank is null, and vice versa. So in Java, you would never be able to write a simple code to do the driver class as I did. Right now, I think the one that I have in Java is 300 lines of code to do exactly what I'm going to show you I have tonight. 300 lines of code. Because we have so many lines of code that are duplicated, we can probably refactor that down to maybe 150 to 200 lines of code. But the JavaScript one is 40 lines total to handle everything from all these different browser versions to a mobile to remote. So it's so much cleaner because there's a lot of assumptions that are being made that it's handled, which makes it easier for us to learn. And it's funner that way, so you're not dealing with why is this working? Spend tons and tons more hours wasting time. So this is the challenge 5. Let's go to challenge 5 on, I'm not going to give you the solution that's inside these to figure out the data, but I'm going to give you pointers on how to solve your problem. Okay? So I created this empty 5A challenge, which is like your 5. I commented out the before and after, there's nothing here, so we're not going to use it. We are going to work with arrays tonight. I'm going to show you guys how to really easily work with array to solve this challenge problem. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create an empty array. Okay, so I'm just going to declare the variable up here so it's available across all the full-time method. And we're going to do a few things. So we're going to do a few tests here. So we're going to say create array of data. And then we're going to say it print everything in the array. What I'm showing you guys is how to easily troubleshoot a solution that you're not sure about. And that guy there. Okay, and we'll just copy this method a few more times. And this one right here, we're going to do sort the array. This is actually how you easily solve this challenge, to count all your unknown variable types. If you remember in challenge 5, what we're going to do is we're going to look at this column of data and find out how many of these models exist in its uniqueness. So some of these might exist multiple times, some of them might be just once. This Cayenne TU might only be 2 times on the page. GT might be once, but we're going to count that. Go back to here. Let's just create an empty array so we can get started. So we're going to say array. Remember, I'm not putting a bar here because I'm declaring up here. So it's available. If I declare a variable up here, it's going to be available to all these methods inside. So we're going to do array equals. How do we create a test array? So we'll do single byte, all sorts of data. So we'll do 1. Let's do 3. Do 0. Do 1. Do another 1. Do another 2. And we'll do 3. So extremely unsorted list of arrays. And now let's write our loop to print out array. So we already have that array. So let's do that for loop. And where start my for loop?
For bar and I.
Bar I equals what I start with array
0.
0 and I
Less than length of array.
okay array dot length I plus plus. That's our loop method. Okay, so how do I print out the array? Array.
Print. The console.
Okay, let's do the console. Do console log. We'll do array. How do we reference that item inside the array?
Via its placement, so.
Okay. Now what we're going to do is copy this. Actually, let's just get to this point and we're going to print it out. So Mocha challenge 5A. And so there's our list. So we got the right data in there. So I'm just making sure we have the data in here. Now, how do we count these uniqueness? You can go through this list one by one, but trying to go through this, well, there's 1. Visually, it's easy. There's 1, 1. There's 2 1s. There's another 1. There's another 0. There's a 3. There's a 3. There's a 2. It'd be a lot easier if it was sorted, because then you can look at the groupings of the sorted value. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do a sort. And how do you do a sort on an array?
Sort?
Yeah. Use the function. Don't try to reinvent the wheel and try and figure out how to do the sort. But array.sort, does that return a sorted array? Is there a way that we can reference it later?
If you give it a variable.
If we give it a variable, it just so happens I created a variable up here called sorted array. So sorted
Real code.
array equals. And now we're paste. So I really don't like typing more code. And then we're just going to change the variable to sorted. And sorted. So that looks pretty clean. I'm going to print that out. Boom. It is sorted.
Alphabetically? Is
Whatever
that why 2
sorted-
is at the bottom?
Yeah. It's most likely alphabetically, but really for this, for challenge 5, it doesn't matter how you sort it. I just need to, how many count there are. So this list, you can say, okay, now I can group them together. There's 2 1s and 2 3s, 1 0, 1 1, and 1 2 down here. And for the code challenge for challenge 5, you just need to say 0 equals 1, 1 equals 1, 1 equals 2, and 3 equals 2, and 2 equals 1. So that's all it's trying to print out. So now that you have the sort of list out here, now you guys get to figure out how to print that out. You're going to have to figure out how to count where your current locator is. Okay. Remember, if this is a list, copy this. Let's write it out on a page. 1, 1, 3, 3, 2. Okay, so this is your list now. What you guys can do is start looking at the first element, array of element 0. Okay, it's 0. Does this one match the next one? It does not. So we can say, well, this value, print out this value, and then equals 1. That's your counter. You can't start at 1. Print out 1. Now we're going to move the current element to the next one. This one compared to this 1, comma 1, is the same. No, it's not the same. So we're going to say, well, there's only one of that element. And we're going to move the counter to the next element, which is 1. We're going to say, is this one equal to 1? It is. So we have, so this one here is the count 1. Now we're going to say count plus to get 2. And then we're going to move our locator to this one, to the second one right here, the fourth value. And we're going to compare that to this one. Are they the same? They're not the same. So we're going to say, well, this text exists twice. We're going to print out the current count. And then we're going to move on to the next current locator, which is a 3, and so on and so forth. Okay. Here's a question. What else is the sorting great at doing? If you're trying to do this, if I want to write in...
Find unique items. We'll let you find unique items.
Find unique items too. You can parse through 2 different lists easily. You can do palindromes. Palindromes is an awesome one because really palindromes is just a character set, right? So you can do, what's a good palindrome?
Race car.
Race car.
1 word, isn't it? 1 word.
Let's do 2 words.
2 words.
Okay. What's a palindrome for race car?
Race car.
Isn't that
Palindrome.
forward and backward at the same, right?
Yeah, wait, what?
No.
What's your question, man?
It's not.
I thought a palindrome was something that you read forwards and
Forwards
backwards,
and
and it was
backwards
the
is the
same.
same.
Yeah, so race car is one, like kayak.
And cat taco is another.
Maybe we missed it.
First, you just read the same. Okay, not palindrome. What's the other one?
Anagram?
Anagram. Sorry, not
I was gonna say,
anagram.
there's a lot of things it could be.
So we want palindromes, right?
No.
No, we want anagrams.
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 Yeah.
Oh, right, that's where you mix up the letters.
Anagrams of race
Yeah.
car.
So what is an anagram?
A race car?
Anagram. Anagram.
The one that we're doing right now.
Binary and brainy.
There's one. Listen, Elvis.
Listen silent.
No,
Nelson
I don't
lives.
think so. I don't think
Elvis
he showed
lives.
it.
Where's Elvis
I
lives?
just started typing from what he
Elvis
was showing,
lives.
but I'm
Restful and flustered.
done with this one because he has.
Funeral and real fun.
Oh, here's one.
Fun.
Mona Lisa and Anima Saul. Okay, so
Elvis lives.
You go to your code, and it's Mona Lisa. If you want to figure out really what is the anagram of this, just sort all the characters. It's going to be A, I, L, M, N, A, right? O, M, N, O, A. Whoops. Yeah, is that all of them? Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, so that's one to look at it. And the word anima sol. If we sort this, the anima sol, it becomes A, I, L, M, N, O, S. Now you can compare the two lists or two arrays and compare the characters. Is it an anagram? It is. So lots of different things you can do. You kind of mentioned we can see if try to pick out items in the list that doesn't exist. So we can say if this list is animal, animation playback, and we can do event playing animation. We can try to figure out which characters between the two lists are different. So sorting them will help you out. Okay, so lots of different techniques for using a sorted array. I'll let you guys figure out the rest of challenge 5.
Can you scroll on just a little bit so that we can see your sorted array variable? Array. Wait, that's the bottom? Never mind. Sorry. I got confused there for a second. My bad.
Let's see, right? Is that the bottom?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is.
So that's it.
I'm a little unclear how we initially create that array.
The array?
Like I was wondering if I should actually just go look at, I'm sorry, what was it that we were looking for? We were looking for things that I could find. Wasn't it types of Porsches?
Yeah.
Right. So I could just go grab every type of Porsche and just create that array. Is that kind of what we're supposed to do, or is there a method to grab it?
No. That's exactly what you do.
Okay, cool.
So,
I was overthinking.
so let's say we have a list of elements, right? We'll say array elements. Remember, we do a driver await, driver dot find elements, and whatever this one's. XPath, you can use CSS, and so once you grab the whole entire array of elements, we're going to do something similar to this. We're going to parse through every item in the list, every item in that element. So var, we're going to do array underscore elements, and we can print out the array underscore elements. And remember how you guys get text from an element? Remember the web element? If you look at chapter or challenge 3, did I
You
get
get text.
right? We're going to wait here. So this will print out all the elements in the array. Guess what you need to do now? You need to take this, whatever text you have, and throw it into the array first. So now if you have var models underscore array, and we're assuming there's an empty array.
Every time you find a unique one, you add it to that one.
You don't need to add it. Well, we want every element first. We want, right now at this point, I just want all my data into an array. Because right now, we only have an array of elements. We don't even know what's the
Oh,
text.
okay, that's what you're saying.
So we're going to do models array dot push, and we'll just grab this text that we printed out to the console and throw it into the array. So this models array, once you're done with the loop down here, this models array will basically look like this array. Ignore the squiggly underlines, but basically all you've done is whatever text is in this get text, it's going to throw it into this so that you have a list, something similar to this. And then all you have to do is do a sort, and you'll have whatever text is in there. It's going to be perfectly sorted for you, and then you have to go through that logic of counting it up. You kind of cheat.
Oh.
He always tries to cheat.
I'm trying to copy code. It's not like the video is not going to be available. I think there's a reason why we post the videos the day before, so that you guys spend some time scrambling, trying to get the code working.
Yes, that's the reason.
That return thing, I spent maybe half an hour working with that, with Royden on that, because he didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, we're just like, why isn't he clicking on that? You know? Yeah.
Hey, Matt, real quick, are you requiring anything at the top of this file?
Not at this one, because we're not really using anything other than just the array.
Okay, so, because I'm just saying like running the very last one probably won't do anything, it's just an example.
Yeah, this is just an example right here. This right here is just to show you guys that once right here, this whole entire section of code will not work if you run this exact like it is right now, because we're not creating a web driver. Right. This is just an example. But you guys will have to find out which element this is, and you guys get to figure out how to sort this list based on the examples above here. And to help you guys out, we're going to go after this column of data. We're going to do inspect. Oops. Console. So it looks like we're looking at this one here. Let's go down further. So luckily, you guys have this uniqueness of
Search model.
search model. So if you do a Control F, let's do a XPath. So start XPath / star. Open close bracket. Within that, we put the name. So at what is that element again?
Lot search.
Yeah, lot search.
So remember, we're going to say data dash uname equals, and I think you said lot search model.
Yep.
Lot search model.
Lot is capital L on the second lot.
Better if we just copy that and just throw it in.
Yeah.
And notice right here, we have 51 elements right here. And 51 is shown. And the reason why you have 51 is because this first table row, doesn't have a text in it. So you actually get 51 results, or 101 results in our example, and W always belongs right there. So you can use this to grab all your elements and get this text right here and do the push into the array, sort the array, and start counting each element inside the array. And to get this column of damaged, luckily we have really good at labeling your stuff for the most part. Same thing, same pattern.
I wasn't sure if this would work, but I did contains at span lot search model.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
That did work.
Yeah, well, actually, I started with //td as a table data.
That's the beautiful thing about XPath is that you can do contains, you can do begins with, you can do ends with, you can do, there's like a couple more other functions I don't remember, but between contains with, ends with, starts with, hopefully you can find something that will fit a pattern. All right, let's move on to part of the refactor for challenge 4. So challenge 4, remember what we're doing is removing that driver class, right? So let's go to challenge, actually let's do
That's challenge 5. Challenge 4 is just the.
the Fibonacci.
Yeah.
The last part of the Fibonacci was to make your declaration of your before function, this right here,
Whoa, wait a minute. Let's see.
into a class or a function, so you refactor, so that way you don't have all these different lines. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go from, let's see, 4 lines of code down to 1 line of code. And in the future, if I ever want to change stuff in here, I only have to change it in my driver class or driver. I would guess you would call this function driver function, but smaller methods. But this is a, whoops.
Wait, we weren't even using the driver class for challenge 4.
No, but part of challenge 4 was refactor, go back and refactor some of the code. But really challenge 5 is when we start refactoring, so that challenge 5 can be cleaner. And notice in my challenge 5, I still do have the node modules, the package JSON, but in challenge 6, so what I did was make sure that challenge 5 was all working and being able to search for, print out all the elements and print out that text. Then I went back and refactored this one so that I can return 1 line. But I left all this here. And then in challenge 6 is where I really refactored it to the point where I only have a get ignore in challenge 6 and it still calls all the libraries correctly. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. So challenge 5. So let's start and create our own driver class. So what we'll do, create yourself a common folder inside your, look at my tree structure. I just went to the Code Challenge 2018, which is above all these, one folder up from all these other challenge folders. I just created a folder called common. Just right here. So if you just click on this to 2018, we'll right click, and you can name this whatever you want. You can call it folder 1, but you can call it whatever.
Is it, are we naming it common or folder 1?
You can call it, I would call it common for your example. Okay. So I just created one so you guys know where the structure is. Now inside this, we're going to create a file. So we're in common, we're going to right click, create a new file, and we'll call it driver.js. Inside this driver.js, we're just going to create a simple function. So we'll do function. Function. We'll call this get driver. Sorry, I have a working example here. I'll just open and close the brackets. Code complete sometimes is great, but sometimes it's not great. So you're going to be putting all your code in here. And a review from last time, remember if you want people to use this function, you have to do a modules export. Okay, so you can do a get driver. You can call this get driver. This is your whatever you want other people to know this class by, or this method by. and this is one, this value right here maps to your function down here. So in this case, we will do get driver 1, colon, get driver 1. And it's nice that I do code complete here. So once you do that, you'll notice this text right here changes color slightly. Go from a darker color to a lighter color. That means it's now a public function. Okay, now that's available. What we're going to do is we're going to have to start moving some of our pieces for what we're requiring. One of the pieces we have to require is a Chrome driver. We're also going to need a web driver because that's how we're going to create a web driver. So we'll go to challenge 5 and right here, that's a comment right there. This is what your driver class or your before method used to look like. What we do?
Is that correct?
Yes, just one more. Driver. And
Looks like it's
do a full paste.
wow, looks like a folder.
Okay, what, so I
Driver
did
doesn't
something
have
different.
pressure, it's folder.
I didn't have that. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you can just take.
I was just told that, because I had already come up
Yeah, so, yeah,
with
just change that.
add my builder by until a key into it.
Yeah, so what you did was do this. You basically took this, and you can actually do that too. And it's really 2 lines of code. But if you did this, now you don't use. It's harder for you to try and figure out how do I add custom methods into this. So that's why these were broken up at the top.
Okay, so didn't I add custom functions right
Yeah, but if you look at yours, so really what your code is a dot. I know for those of you who are on the call, I don't know how to use this Mac.
Just that one.
The delete is not my back key.
Yeah. But really, when you build your web driver, there's actually 3 different steps that's being taken. It's just we're concatenating all those different steps into your driver into one big giant step. But each of those steps provide you with different capabilities inside your web driver.
Okay, so it's the same 3 steps yours has.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's the same 3 steps.
Except for the maximize one.
All you do is just delete it into one line. So Angel had,
Well, I had a const above that instead of doing var WebDriver by and stuff like that, I just created a const that had by, until, and key in it when I built the driver.
so this is
It's
where
not part
it
of
gets a little more confusing because right here, if you look at this, it's like, okay, I got a bunch of steps in here and I'm gonna do build. It's all calling within this WebDriver.builder function, and we're just adding more functions into it, which is great. It only works in this instance. Tab it over. Now that we moved it over here, we're gonna go back to challenge 5. Oh, also remember we have to move the required Chrome driver, and the var WebDriver requires Selenium WebDriver. We can move that. I think that was up here, so you'll move that up to your driver class.
And in that getDriver1 function, line 71, you don't need to say bar or let or anything like that.
Oh, yes.
And then at the very end, do we need to return the driver as well?
Yes. So that's the next step. Once we
Sorry, my bad.
So we're going to declare this variable. It's going to be driver, and then we're going to have to return this driver to somebody because now we're calling a function. Remember, we're going to return. We got to return something with what we're promising. So we're going to return this driver. And once we return this driver, now if we go to our code and if we comment out all this, and we might as well copy this driver.manage if I don't have it in there. I have it. Okay. Now in this one here, we're going to
Wait a minute. When did we get the return driver.manage to get driver? That wasn't part of 5.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
You actually don't have to have it, but remember it's good pattern to just put a return on it. If
Okay.
you're not returning anything, but each function should try to return something. So here we're going to return driver, and that's going to get returned to the column method. So we're going to do driver here. And remember, we do have a var driver outside of this function, the before function, and that's global to the describe function. Driver gets weight, and before we do that, we're gonna go up to here. So now we created this driver function, and we've exposed this function inside. We go up here, and now we're gonna have to import it. So to import it, we have to do a const. I don't know what the difference is between this const versus a var in this instance, but it will work just fine if you do a const. You can call this whatever you want to call it. You can call it D if you want to. And we're going to say require. And we're going to do a. And here, if you do require, it gives you all the classes that you can require, or all the libraries you can pull in. We're going to do a // because this challenge 5 is in this folder, and this challenge 5.js, we're going to go up one and traverse our folder. So now if you do a // all of a sudden you're like, oh, look at that. Here's my common folder. So I'm going to click on common, and what am I trying to import? Another /, and it tells you you have these 2 libraries, or these 2 functions to import. So we're going to import the driver. And now to call that function, we'll just do d dot down here, and we'll call ours get driver. So now we have get driver 1 and get driver. Yours will only have to get driver 1 if that's what you need, but get driver, that's what will show up. And click on it. Remember, it's a function. Open close brackets. And now you have made yourself a driver class that other people can use. And does this work? Sure hope so. One other thing that you do have to do, so watch this, that I'll leave this as a sync a function. And I play around with this.
Why are we doing an await?
Oh, that's right, you don't have to do it.
So it doesn't have to be an async function.
Well, it's not an async function. But before, it was not async.
Yeah, but watch this. The reason why you didn't wait, I'll show you. When I run my code, and it happens really fast, notice that all these are broken now. All these, none of them are working. But if I comment out my new line of driver, and I go back to what we had before, I'll uncomment these out with this guy. And now all I do is do challenge 5. All of a sudden it works. So this is part of the asynchronous.
So weird.
Yeah, it is weird. So basically your creation of your driver, once it goes outside of your block of code, it has to become asynchronous. It's crazy. Otherwise, if you don't do that way, your code is going to start running all these other it functions down here are going to start running before your driver object is even ready to go. So that's why here we're going to comment out this line of code, uncomment this one line. We're going to say await. But as you saw here, you're like, okay, I'm going to try to run it and say, well, it crashed. Why is that?
Because the function isn't async.
Yep. Async function, not a link, async. Now we'll try to run it again. Still crashing. Now we're going to do a return because it's async function now. Why is it working now? Was working earlier. Oh,
Mine's not like, mine's not
maybe I
like
should
me.
save this one first, huh? There it goes. I'll save my code to do the return on the driver. Since I didn't have a return, now it works fine. Kind of crazy with how JavaScript works. It's sometimes kind of in a mysterious pattern, but that's the pattern that you can get it to work. Now, how do you want to pass in a browser type in here? So for my function up here, I just called it browser. Nice thing about JavaScript, it doesn't even know what the browser is. It can be a string, it can be an integer, an object. Nobody cares, except for you. Okay, this is the part that gets tricky. So now notice right here, we're going to do a dot capabilities, dot chrome, dot build. We're going to change this with capabilities a little bit differently because there's no function called dot for browser. And this for browser allows you to tell it what value to kick off. And they're just under lowercase values. And I have it up here so you can put Chrome in here, Edge, Internet Explorer, Chrome, or just blank. So that's all it would look like. And you probably don't need this for capabilities. And we can get you that.
So if we wanted to do multiple browsers, would it just be comma, then Firefox, comma, Edge, or would it have?
You can only have one driver of that instance. So once you instantiate that driver instance, it's always going to be whatever browser version or browser type you picked.
Okay.
This one will pick Chrome, do its thing. Now, it's not going to work at all right now if you guys change to, if you guys change to Firefox, it will not work for you.
So we don't have the right driver right now.
Yeah, you have to download the drivers. So here, I'll show you that it does work. Here's Firefox kicking on. Going to do the exact same steps. Run the test. Do the drop down, grab all the data, get the browser open, and print out my data. Okay, so what do you have to do to get this working? So one of the things that you have to do is go to, you have to create a location for where you're going to store your driver. I don't like this step, but on mine, I put it in my C10 folder. In my C10, I just create a folder that says drivers. So I put the Gecko driver, the IE driver, and the Microsoft WebDriver. You can do a search for it, but also I think you can, in this document, Google and just do a search for Gecko driver download. There's your Gecko driver. And there's binary right here. Your binaries. So if you're on a Windows 64-bit machine, you probably want 64. If you're on Mac and Linux, download these. And paste that into this folder. And on Windows, you have to set a path to it so that you can reference it relative. Otherwise, it will not work. So Windows, I went to my PC, properties, event system, settings, environment variables, and I set a double click on this path. It's got Windows 10 has this nice little editor. I put a path C/temp/drivers. So now it can be found anywhere in the process. So there's some hoops that you have to jump through to get it working. Okay. So that's why mine will work with Firefox. Now, the other part of the equation, I'll show you this. What you want to do is you want to figure out a pattern. So this is what I first came up with. So here's your pattern. For Firefox, you just have to enter the firefox.build. For Internet Explorer, you have to put internetexplorer.build. And for Edge, you have to put edge.build, which is pretty simple. So if you think about it, if you go down to our new driver class, how do I do this? I can say, well, I don't want that because I'm going to call into it. I'm just going to put browser. That will say whatever is in here, I'm going to pass into this for browser. So that's why my keys are those 4 different values. One of the other things that one of the guys I work with, he said, well, what if somebody puts in all caps? Well, yeah, so you do 2 lowercase. That would be lowercase, and it will pass in whatever value you want to pass into it. And now it will work for all those different browser types. So that basically takes care of, and remember, this is our first option right here. And here I said, well, if the browser is null, meaning I don't have any values passed into it, or if it equals Chrome, then it's going to kick off this, but you can just pass Chrome into the same variable right here, so you won't have to do that. So I kind of simplified my function into, first of all, I'm going to do a var builder. I'm going to create a new builder. And this is where we get into how do you pass different variables into your builder before you instantiate the builder. And now I'm going to do remote. So if remote, I call it RM. If this value right here comes in as null, then I'll skip this step. But if it's not null, I'll do builder.usingServer. And this using server is a parameter that you would use for your whatever your Selenium hub or grid server is. This is our grid server right here, so I pass in that URL. And then for the last one, I'm going to put in mobile type. I'll talk about mobile type in a second. So that got me to, I'll comment out this. Section. Just show them the flashlight. Maybe a little collapse if I comment on that. Okay. So really, this is my function to call into all the different types of browsers. And if it's null, I'm just going to call it to lowercase. Sorry, if it's not null, I'm going to change that browser variable to .lowercase, and I just print out the statement, whatever browser you started. If one doesn't exist, I still want to use Chrome, so I want to force it to use Chrome. So I'm going to say I'm going to name my browser equals Chrome, and browser builder, we can call it Chrome, or here we can say browser browser dot to lowercase. Works the same as that right here. So either way, it's going to try to kick off Chrome, or otherwise this other version. A little bit redundant, but it's nice that you can really walk into it. Okay, now we're going to talk about a mobile driver. So to do a mobile, I'm going to check for Chrome because I have to make sure that the user is actually using Chrome. You can't emulate, I haven't figured out a way to emulate a mobile device using Firefox. But in Chrome, if you open up your debugger, you can emulate a mobile device by clicking this little toggle device toolbar. And in this toolbar here, you can select from different mobile types.
This is so cool.
Yeah. You can do iPad, iPad Pro, Pixel, 6P, whatever you want to. So the nice thing is, whatever you see here, that's a value that's going to match to what you're going to call it. So if I want a iPad, I would type in literally iPad space Pro. So that's why I have a mobile type here. The mobile type, I'm going to say capabilities, like that's what caps are. We're going to call it a new variable called capabilities. And this is a JSON object. JSON object is going to have a browser name, and it has to, you have to explicitly call it Chrome. Otherwise, it overrides anything that you put up here for browser. So you're going to call it for browser Chrome. And we're going to do the Chrome options. We're going to do a mobile emulation. And we're going to call it device name. And this device name, if you don't have a variable, it would look like, let's copy this code. It would literally look like iPhone X. That's why I can just say, well, whatever you see in here, just pass it over to me, and then I'll figure out how to call it. That's why I just named this mobile type as a string type. But remember, this string type cannot be null, but you can pass it a blank. So now if you look at my different variations, so on challenge 6, I have this return driver, await driver manager, get driver. And if it's blank, it's going to call Chrome. If it's not, in this line of code, it's going to call the Internet Explorer. It doesn't have a remote device. It's going to try to call iPhone X. Remember, iPhone, it has to match up to Chrome before it'll trigger this code. So this is kind of a muted variable that doesn't get called. But if I change this to either a blank, like that, or change it to Chrome, it's going to kick off my web browser in Chrome. And in this instance up here, this WebDriver, I'm going to call it Chrome, and I'm going to send it to my remote Selenium hub. So in one function right here, I have all these capabilities right here. We're going to do builder.capabilities with capabilities and pass this JSON object in here. And then we're going to do driver.build. This driver.build is what actually builds your browser. It starts it up. So if you have this something .build anywhere in here, it's not going to work. The other thing you notice is that I didn't call any of these driver, because you have to have a builder before you can pass it to the driver. So when this builder builds, now it creates a driver object that you can say, okay, now I'm going to reference my driver object. And the last line here is that if my mobile type is null, meaning that I know it's not mobile, I'm going to do a driver.manage.windows.maximize. That'll make it full screen. Otherwise, by default, it opens up whatever half your screen width is. Sucks. And then lastly, I'm going to return my driver. So for those of you guys who can see the video, you'll see how this is built. You guys can create your own awesome driver class within about 5 minutes. It took me about 2 hours to write. It's actually this right here that didn't work. I had the most difficulty with this part here because I didn't realize I had to have a browser name Chrome. Because I thought, well, right here I'm already instantiating builder.for browser. I already passed it in. It's a Chrome. I'm specifying right here. And why isn't it working down here? Because they just give you a benign error that doesn't really make sense. But once you pass in this, it does make sense. So what does this look like? let's go to our, let's do this, show you on challenge 6, and we'll talk about challenge 6. So here I'm going to do Chrome. Next. Challenge 6. Do Mocha challenge 6. And I forgot to save. Now it's going to start the site in a mobile view. And if Copart site was actually designed correctly, using the shared reference pointers like this right here, that search, it would work. But unfortunately, they actually use different IDs. So remember, our code was supposed to search. So if I change this to a non-mobile, run the same challenge. Maximize the screen. Same set of tests. I didn't change anything. The only thing I'm doing is just the browser type. If you notice there, it ran the search and did other actions upon it. It's because they're not using the same IDs as what we referenced. So right here, they're not using this home page header search submit. They're not using this form ID search form /input. They have a different value here.
Is that easy to identify in the output when the mobile one fails?
No, so I'll have to work on that. Everybody's so anxious for this new code. I'll wait for Angela to finish taking a screenshot. Okay, so this part.
I can't wait for the video. I gotta finish that before.
So if you look at challenge 6, actually before we start challenge 6, let's go back to part of our refactoring. We haven't finished. We've refactored our driver now. Yes, I have a working driver class. I've noticed that down here, I don't have my config.json. Config.json is what you need. So what you do is you move your package.json. Look at challenge 5. There's package.json. What I did was move this package.json up one folder to the code challenge, the parent folder of that. Now if you look down here, you have package.json, which is identical. This one here, I'm just going to change the name to whatever you want to call it, challenges or whatever. It's not going to be challenge 6 for the library, so challenges, just 2019. Yeah, you can change it to whatever you need to. Once you do that, you would go back to your parent folder, which is your root folder where all your projects is installed. You're going to do an npm install. This will pull down all your dependencies by reading your package.json.
Can I slow you down just a second?
Yes.
It might be redundant. I know we've talked about it before, but why are you changing the name here in the JSON?
Because notice right here in the pattern that we developed in challenge 3, notice there's a node modules inside node challenge 3, and we also have package.json.
Right.
Right. So every time we would create a new folder, we have to pull in the package.json
Yeah.
and do an npm install.
And that gives you the node.
But we're going to move all this stuff up from the.
Oh.
So we don't have to have.
That's why.
2 has the node modules, 3 has the node modules, 1 has a node module, and this adds up to your disk space.
Oh, so that's like a complete step of factoring.
Yeah.
Just move the package.
Yep.
All right, that makes sense.
So that's what we're moving some of these.
And that's why you can change the name whenever you want. Gotcha, but you have that, you change the name in main, but at the very top, line 2 on the package.jsons, doesn't it say like challenge 3, challenge 5?
Yeah, you can change that to whatever your main script is. This
Okay.
one, we're not actually utilizing this
Gotcha.
as your start script, because we actually call the script itself.
Okay.
And don't worry about these scripts right here. We can modify this later. We're not to the point where we need to worry about this yet. We'll worry about this in, I think, challenge 11.
Okay, so now that,
Really the key ones that you're worried about is right here, this section. With the author, dependencies, npm, and these dev dependencies. That's what's in it.
So once this step is done, we can just delete that from the individual challenge files,
Yeah,
challenge folders. Yeah.
right, but that's part of the thing. So you have to run npm install. It will create a node modules folder inside all your parent folders here. Now in challenge 6, we're going to go to the top. And notice right here for the WebDriver, I changed this WebDriver required. I have to do a /node modules /slamming WebDriver. Previously, this was var WebDriver equals require. And it was just called Selenium WebDriver. Right. So we don't want that anymore. We want it to go to the parent folder, which is .node modules /Selenium WebDriver. That's where the libraries is at.
And if I'm understanding that right, it's just so that we're not recreating the node modules in each of the challenge folders.
Yep, and we also don't need a package JSON for each little small challenge. Challenge 1, challenge 2, challenge 3. We don't need a package JSON inside those anymore. We're just going to have one in our parent folder that has all of our libraries, that has all of our package JSON. But part of the exercise was to get you guys used to do an npm install. Anytime you see a package JSON, do npm install. So that will be part of your refactoring as you guys go through your challenge 5. You can refactor in challenge 5, or you can just refactor in challenge 6. The goal of challenge 6 is not to have a node modules or a package JSON here. So just should be a challenge and your git ignore. Any questions so far? So that's a part of refactoring that was supposed to be part of challenge 4. But write challenge 5, get it working, try to play around with refactoring so that you have your libraries in 2 different locations, and just make sure it still works. But make sure once you get it working, go back to challenge 5 and delete this node modules.
The numbered challenges stop at 7 on the Google Doc, and then it goes to the advanced level. So does that just continue with number 8 then? Okay, I was just wondering, because I didn't see challenge number 11, but if they are still numbered.
We're going to keep on going down. I didn't number those yet. So we'll delete this node modules. Okay, so that deleted, and you can leave the package JSON right here. It doesn't reference anything, but you should still be able to run your challenge 5 at that point. Okay, so that gets challenge 5. Today we're going to move on to challenge 6. Lots of new stuff that we're going to do. So here in challenge 6, we refactored our Git driver. I'm going to create one line that says Git driver. So today's challenge, we have all these searches here. We're going to talk about what happens if you run into some piece of code that you don't understand what's going to happen, or if your script fails, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if your
Blow up
code,
magnificently.
yeah, blow up magnificently, right? But you want to have it give you more indication, or just say, well, the script doesn't work, then you got to go run through one by one for the rest of the night and figure out why your script doesn't work.
Yeah, a neat little message would be helpful.
Yeah, messages are helpful, right? So you're going to try to do a try, catch, finally block. The try, inside this try block is where you're going to put all your code. So we'll go to challenge 6, and we're going to try, let's create a new challenge 6. Challenge 6 with .js. And we'll do a describe. It's so much easier just copy and paste. Describe. And then we're going to to do it, whatever you want to do, say, tinkering with try catch. Finally. That. Why is it still complaining to me?
The curly braces on the other side.
Oh.
Oh, there we go. That's better. Okay, so literally a try catch is going to be try catch, and we're going to throw E in here for exception. And we're going to do a finally. What does this finally block do? It's whatever you want to do, make it do. So we're going to try in here, we'll do step 1, step 2, step 2, step 3, step 4. If it peaks at step 3 or 4 or 1, it's going to go and jump into this catch block. And nice thing with the catch block, you can say, well, what do I want to what do I want to catch? What information do I want? Well, it'd be nice to see what the error is, what the exception is. So we'll do console.log. This will log out your exception to your console, so give you more information. After it catches that, what other information do you want to gather? At this point, you gather whatever info is needed. And this needed. Okay, so this is your try-catch block. So how do I do this try-catch block? Well, one thing that's nice about this catch block, we're going to use this to capture, if we're running automation, we're going to use this capture block to capture a screenshot. Okay. So up here in our content folder, we're going to create another file called screenshot.js. Once you create the screenshot.js, your file will look like blank. Yeah. It'll be blank. Yeah. So one of the things, and this one I'll give you all the details on because there's not a lot to this code. One of the things you will require is the FS. That's a file system library, so you can write files. We're going to do a modules export. We're going to do a take screenshot. This is what we're going to call it. Your modules export. And I'm going to declare a call function, take screenshot. So one of the things that the screenshot function needs to take a screenshot, go back to our awesome take screenshot example right here. Notice that it uses the driver object. You have to use a driver. Driver.screenshot. Then all I did was just copy this code right here. And paste it in here. And do a whole lot of fancy stuff. There's not much to it. However, I had a couple lines of code. Yeah, this is what right here. These 3 lines of code is pretty much what was. Yeah, that's right. These 4 lines of code.
Did you say that the writing the file system is a library that we need to download?
It will be it's all part of Node, so that's
Okay,
why we didn't
okay.
have to download it. But it's already included in your Node modules, in your Node library. But you will have to declare it with FS. what I've done here. I can call it fs.writeFile. And really the only thing that you have to pass into it. So first part right here. And let's do that. Let's do the fs.write. I'll show you what I did. So after I copied the code right here, it has a function. It says if error console.log error. I didn't do the console.log error, but I did do the write file. So write file. And you'll notice first part here is out.png. Actually, sorry, that's the one that you can't copy. It's this one up here.
I was gonna say, it doesn't look like anything you're doing. Cool.
Yeah,
I would see what copy.
the image, you'll leave that first one, or the second one, the first one. Unless you guys really enjoy typing out your code.
Some of us do.
So
It
you
worked
guys
for me.
no, this isn't the right one.
I could
Yeah,
copy- I
till
could copy
we're
paste it.
experienced enough to not do it.
There's another one. Oh. Did I accidentally delete that URL? I tried to delete it. But do a search on Google or just type it out. See how good your typing
Mine
skills
totally
are.
worked. I can copy paste it.
It's not that much code, it would type out no problem anyway.
That's true.
Yeah, see, first one is going to be your file name. So file name. Second parameter is going to be decoded image. You got to tell it what kind of image it is. The decoded image right here is going to be a buffer, and it's going to be a base 64 image. And this is part of that code they gave you. And the third one is just function error. What's going to happen if you have an error? I really don't care. I don't care if it has an error. It would have been helpful if I did if I do a console.error, console.log, then you can see what errors you have if there are any errors, like file permissions and stuff like that. Those of you on Mac, you might have a file permission error. I'm not sure. Play around with it. So this is basically the 4 lines of code that you would need to create a screenshot. That works great, but there's a couple problems. Okay, you also need a .jpeg. But if you run the same function over and over again, how many times, what's your file name?
Same thing over and
Same thing over and over again, so it
Yeah.
overrides. So what did I do? Well, first one I did was I'm going to do this to something more unique. So I'm going to call this, well, I like the name. I want to, if I call into the screenshot, I want it to be a custom value that I call from my test. That way I know from which test it's calling from. So I'm going to say, well, I'm going to call it name. And I got to put a .jpeg at the end. That's good and dandy. But what if I call the same test over and over again? I still overwrite. Well, the awesome thing is there is this new date. I'm going to do a timestamp. Okay, once I get a timestamp, I'm going to create another variable called file name, or fn. I'm going to say name plus date plus JPEG. So I can break it up into steps. And then I'm going to do the write file function, and all I did was just change this name plus JPEG to fn. Just step by step. When I did this one is kind of working. It's not great. I found a bug in it. But this dir name will print out, will pull in the directory that you're in, and plus your file name. This way I can see exactly where my screenshot is located at. And here I'm just going to do a console.print. Your screenshot is at whatever the path is. So that's the few extra things I added to it. Like I said, there's a bug with this dir name. I haven't figured it out yet. I'll figure it out. What does this look like for challenge 6? If I go to CD challenge 6, I'm going to do challenge 6.js. And before we do that, I'm going to prevent the browser from quitting. So in this challenge, we're using a try-catch block. We're going to run through a bunch of steps here. So for Nissan, if you guys caught it right down here, now we can, yeah, we currently about almost 12,000 results of Nissan. The second part of the challenge is we're going to click on this models. This is actually hidden, so you're going to click on this models and type in a string value. So here we're going to type in, I use in the challenge I said put Skyline. Unfortunately, the only Skyline GTR they had yesterday is sold, so it doesn't show up. So what if you do 300? Well, there's not a whole lot of 300. 300 is easy here. But one thing is if you look at if you inspect this. So if you did want to click on to, how do I change my console? That's not very good. Let's do it in here. So I'll do Nissan. And we'll go to model and type in 300. So what if you are looking for something that's really rare? Let's build a test case that you guys can actually see it working. So here we're going to go look at this checkbox. This checkbox right here has an input type checkbox. If you notice right here where this lot ID model underscore description plus whatever the label value of that vehicle is. So if I want to look for a Skyline, it would literally be lot underscore model underscore description Skyline in all caps. And how do I get that pattern? If I go to this pattern, this next item here, regular lot ID. So they made it really unique on their IDs. And if I do, let's look for something more here. Let's go to Pathfinder. Go to Pathfinder, we clear that. Now we see all the different model types. Click on here. Is that going to work for us? Pattern. Yeah, 200SX base.
You can just click on the checkbox and do that.
Yeah, I'm looking at model type. So now you know, okay, I'm going to look for this ID and I'm going to click on it. So I'm only going to do that if there's multiple values of the car. But if there's not, then what do? I'm going to try to catch that error. So that's the homework for chapter 6 is how do you catch something? Sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not work. It all depends on what data is going to be provided to you. So what does it look like as far as the try catch? So here we have our first step. Should open the Copar website. Step 2 should run the search for. I should change that. This is not exotic. This is for
Nissan.
Yep, Nissan. And so you can see a search here for Nissan. And this time I used I did a button click. Using a button click instead of doing sending a MP3. And you guys have done your element visible and
It's 4. No, it's 5, sorry.
Okay, 3. So here's our try catch block. So here is where I'm going to try to click onto that checkbox if it's available. So I'm going to that, open up that models, find the text box, enter my search text, and it's going to puke on me. I know it's going to puke. And the reason why I printed out that console.log right here, okay, this is my screenshot. So I'm going to take a screenshot and I'm going to print out the log. So here it's going to say for some reason it says selector, it says CSS selector, but it should be XPath. I guess it's just part of WebDriver just doesn't give you a good enough message right here. But at least you know that lot model 3 description 300 does not exist. And I said I took a screenshot and notice it says common right here. It's not actually not in common. This comment is actually where my screenshot.js is located, so it actually gives me the wrong folder. But I did capture a screenshot, and it's right here. It actually captures it inside this folder that I'm like,
How does it get that wrong then?
I'm not, well, it's that dir path. The dir path is actually where the code is running from, not from where
I see.
And then the finally block, this is something I added, this bonus, you don't have to do this. But in the finally block, I did an assertion. So here's the finally block. I did assert, include checkbox options. I'm just going to print out the message of what I want the end user to see. Expected checkbox options to include 300. But these options were available, 300ZX, 300ZX2 plus 2. I gave the user more description of what I was looking for and why it fell. Now if you click on one of these screenshots, the screenshot was 9686. 9686. There's a screenshot of what my screen looked like at the time it fell.
Couldn't you just do a screenshot of the actual HTML rather than the page itself? Like they take a snapshot of the source for the HTML for that page.
You don't need a snapshot because you can just do a get attribute inner HTML, and that will get all the HTML.
Maybe you could just compare it
Yeah, you can compare that. But
rather than just a screenshot.
yeah, but who wants to look at HTML versus just looking at the screen?
Well, then you could actually parse through the HTML.
You could, but that's a lot of, depending on how many values are in there, it could be a lot of HTML. Because if you look at this right now, if that value doesn't exist right here, oh, there it is. So if you parse this whole entire UL class right here, you have a lot of data in here.
That's true.
So trying to filter out and do a regular expression, clean out all the garbage, that's going to take too long.
Okay.
So all I do is just do a get elements. All I do is do get elements on. Keep going up. Keep going up. I just did right here is ABBR. So all I do is just find that ABBR and get this text right here. That way I know what text, what values, what options I can have. So what does it look like if my test does not?
That's a try.
Yeah, there's a try. Except I have my full working code in there. I don't want to show you guys how much you guys did.
No, don't do that to us.
Yeah. You'll have to figure it out. But anyway,
Because you guys are really slow at getting the videos up, so we don't have time to do anything.
figure it out.
You know.
That's the try catch block. The screenshot is pretty self-explanatory. The console.log, you guys do have a good pattern for the try catch. This right here is to follow this pattern, and just put all your steps in here. Remember, it's going to be more right here. You can do driver dot search for model. Actually, click on search for model. And we'll do driver dot click model link driver dot enter search text into text field in model section driver dot look for, in this scenario, look for skyline. And since the skyline does not exist today, it's going to break. Maybe tomorrow skyline will exist and it won't break, so it won't take a screenshot.
What if we spent the last 30 minutes doing this part as like in groups.
Yeah, we can do that.
That way we can make sure that before we say go, like home,
Yeah.
we can try to figure this out as a team.
Definitely do that. The other thing you can do is in this catch block. I haven't written this yet, but one of the things I will do is I'm gonna do email. I'm gonna do email function. Yep. I'll email the image, test name, steps, logs. So if you put an email function right here, let's say you do find something that you do like. Remember, if you create an email function, you say, oh, it matches what I want, I email myself. In this sense, it's not matching what I want, so I'm gonna email myself. So if you guys decide to write a code to search for jobs, remember in our last discussion, write an email function. Put it into this try catch block. Or if you want to just use a try block. You don't have to worry about catch. But that's how you would, so this is how you would create your different methods and your different classes and call into those functions.
The catch then is just for error logging.
The catch is to, it's basically the pre-step before your function.
Not just error logging, obviously your email.
You can do whatever you want to. You can actually put the email or the screen cap in here. Screen cap in here. If you want to. There's no requirements. Just, you got 2 extra steps.
Okay, so the catch and finally there's no real difference between those.
Right. It's just going to hit the catch.
Is there any difference between the try, the catch, and the finally? Why not put them all in the try?
You can do the try, but the try will, if you do try console.log, right, and log whatever error you want to, you can. But what happens if it pukes right here? If it pukes on that line, it'll never hit this code block. So when it pukes on this line, it's going to go to the catch. And once it finishes running through this section, you can go into here and do whatever. And sometimes this step might not be the one that's failing. It could be this step right here. That's why I put everything to catch block or try block, and the catch is going to capture my error messages. I can't guarantee my scripts will run 100% of the time, especially this dynamic data. Okay.
When I say dynamic, you would actually even expect it to fail.
Sometimes
Or you would expect certain of those lines to fail.
And sometimes maybe if it fails, it's actually a pass on your test. So you, in that sense, instead of using the try block to catch the test, you use the catch block to pass your test. Positive and negative testing.
So we can get into, I think we get into groups and try to figure this out with the remaining time. That way we can see who's kind of got it and who doesn't, so we can help out while we're here.
Sounds good.
Let's say get into groups, guys. Bye, Tucker. Thanks, Tucker.
Hasta la vista.
Baby.
Yeah, you can keep recording this one.
Do you get what he's talking about, Renee?
So I'll let
It's
you
like-
guys get in groups, and don't feel like you have to be in like pairs or anything.
I should fairly slow and
I'll get
have to
together.
take about 4 or 5 hours aside from the.
Wait a minute, what did he do to us?
Group.
We're grouping?
Yeah,
I am a group right here.
I'd say like even if it was just each side of the table, that works too.
Yeah. I have laptop will travel, but
I have non-moving that I will do.
I probably need to read challenge 6 and see what it is.
They need to come to you.
Oh my gosh, Vern, you're so good.
It's LASIK.
LASIK? You
LASIK.
are LASIK.
That dev line,
Okay,
I'm gonna be
I have
honest.
Where's your 40 ounce?
allergies. What's my hair?
I just needed to tone it back a little bit today. Like, I don't need to stay up for a while.
Okay, so what are we supposed to do on just 6 thing?
Well,
Here,
So
you can
here's
sit
the
over here.
step.
Okay.
So get out of your way.
yeah, no problem. All right, so we're trying to set it up so that, I mean, the try-catch blocks help us catch errors that we weren't anticipating, right? So, so we're looking for Skyline because we are pretty sure we're not going to find it.
Yeah.
So basic. So this is negative testing, isn't it? But you were saying, is there a way to do a try-catch block for something other than negative testing?
You can do try-catch block for everything you do,
Okay.
because it's not just necessarily a try-catch to do testing.
Yeah.
If it's something that I'm not expecting, if I expect my test to go from steps 1 through 10, I can't guarantee that it's going to end at 10.
Okay.
Because sometimes the test might peak at 5 because I'm expecting some piece of data to be there to click on.
Right.
Right.
But then wouldn't the results say, 5 passed, 5 failed, or something like that?
Yeah, but do you want to fail 5 separate tests?
No, certainly not.
That's why he's
And
talking
if you want
about.
to fail your test, is it failing because the search wasn't working, or is it because the data doesn't exist?
Gotcha.
If the data doesn't exist, it doesn't mean your code failed. It just means that the data doesn't exist. You have to create your data.
Okay, so try-catch is more like a data validation thing, like so that the data is there.
Yeah, it's to help you figure out, do I need to report a bug, or do I need to figure out a setup for the data that I need?
Oh, okay.
So steps for this challenge, go to Copart. We've done this for exotic in our previous challenge, but this time we're going to change the search query to Nissan. Search for Nissan, and then we're going to click on this model link right here. Click on that and type in Skyline. And it should have a checkbox down here that you're going to click on. But since there isn't one, just look for something like Pathfinder so you can write your code. And if you notice your code for this Pathfinder checkbox, this value right here, this Pathfinder, is pretty much what I typed up here. So if I type in Skyline, I would expect that value to be Skyline. So here in this scenario, if you type in 300ZX, you found this 300ZX, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to inspect this, and it's a 300ZX, so whatever string that you put in there. That way you can find a match, and then all you're going to do is go back to your code and change the search parameter for this 300ZX to Skyline. So you're kind of generating an error scenario, so you can grab that screenshot.
Okay, so 6 says none of that. Wait, there it is.
I don't actually have
Go to
that.
Copart,
side
search for
menu.
something for the model.
You don't have
Side
what?
options, search for Skyline.
This section right here,
Yes, what did you click to?
maximize your browser.
I mean, it's all the way.
So in the search field from the homepage, we entered Nissan. And then,
Where is it?
Okay, it's because
Your
you,
screen resolution isn't big enough.
no, she's cleared, so there's filter options that if you click on something, it'll go away, because that's what I did on 5.
So
Yeah, there is a search.
Yeah, you have to,
There should be like.
Yeah.
you have to, there's an arrow on the left-hand side of your
Yeah,
screen.
next to the word search, there's a
If your-
blue
if your
arrow.
browser
You're
is
gonna use it.
narrow enough, it will hide that by dynamically.
Yeah.
So you might have an extra step if you have.
Well, it's not on my screen, even though I maximized, I see it on yours, but mine starts flush
Yeah.
at search, see?
Might look like this right
There's
here.
no arrow.
Oh.
Yes,
Ours, like.
Kind of
our
laptop
screen-
is
Being able
that?
to kind of swipe to the right a little bit, pull it into view.
I mean, it's totally maximized, so.
I'm just saying, like, if you,
Okay, so wait,
like, on the thought of it.
what are we doing right now?
We're just sort of working on the,
Build your try-catch block and then stick all your code in that try block. So
Okay.
all these steps in that.
I.
After we confirm that Nissan is actually what's on the page.
In the mobile view, but I don't
But you
think
did
I-
that for
Right,
one of
So-
the challenges.
well, I can only challenge 6 as Jason.
Isn't that weird? I suppose I could try.
I don't need this search thingy.
yeah, which
I
was,
mean, this 100 thingy
Yeah, you don't need it.
copied out. No. which was the, it, find model, and click on it, and do stuff till it blows up.
Are you looking for your?
Like that. So cool.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Stuff blows up, you just have to accept it. So what? It should find model. What's that sidebar called then?
Seems like it would be there, but.
So here's one thing that's nice is once you
Filter
figure out
options.
filter options. But one thing that is nice about
Right, but this way you're looking.
what you guys are doing now is now you guys understand how to manipulate all the
I don't know,
data,
in filter section, I guess is what I'm saying.
checkboxes. You have tons and tons of different variations. So you can write,
We're gonna choose Skyline, right?
we're just
We're gonna
choosing.
type in and type. Search for Skyline. That's the first that we're gonna do.
Say,
But once you guys figure out how to click into the model and how to get the text field,
Close it and try again.
every one of these have a text field and checkboxes that follow the same pattern. So now, in the future, if you want to, you can write a class that handles all these different
Something else.
sections. This would be a section of click a link, put a search in.
It's a lot of good part, Doc.